the Budda Baker thing to me, A, it was a shocker. B, it to a degree breaks my heart a little bit. For me personally, after I left the Cardinals, I had an opportunity to play for two other teams. I would have loved to have played for a Super Bowl. I'd love to have won a Super Bowl, but I took a tremendous amount of pride in being a part of turnarounds, of being a part of a rebuild, of being a reason that the team turned the corner and contributing to that. My biggest fear and my number one priority was to never be a distraction to the team. And even though it's, a pretty dead time of year, not much is going on. It seems to me out of character for Budda Baker to at least, to me, these things typically are used to be handled behind closed doors, these conversations, it's back and forth. And it kind of, or at least to me, it came out of left field and seemed like it's a bit out of character for a guy that loves being the underdog, for a guy that keeps his head down and does the right thing at all times. And look, I don't know what the issue is. I'm sure it's a combination of multiple factors. I'm sure it's a combination of he wants to be paid like the best safety in football, which if he's not, he's very close. I'm sure, at 26 years old, he's looking at this roster. He's seeing the moves or thereof that were made in free agency and is frustrated with where the team is at and their potential to put out a competitive football team next season. I'm sure, he had relationships. Budda Baker wears his heart on his sleeve. I'm sure he had relationships with the outgoing staff, and I'm sure it hurt to see players and people he worked with walk out the door. And probably, again, going back to my previous point, watching the in-season Hard Knocks, you can see and you can feel how much losing games hurts Budda Baker because of how much he puts into it, how much sacrifices he gives to the game, and to, lose week after week. It as a professional that does the right thing, it becomes really difficult.
Kyle Vanden Bosch joining us here on the right code guest line, former Cardinal, Titan, and Lions defensive end. Well, I got to tell you what, I think you kind of tapped every corner of the four corners there, Kyle. And the one thing that, as you said, that kind of caught you off guard was, because of the character and integrity that one Budda Baker has. I give him credit for maybe he's going with my character and integrity, as you mentioned, is part of the reason for the lack of character and integrity going on allegedly with the organization. Does not want to be a part of that because of, like, you play with a guy named Aeneas Williams who talk about character and integrity. A captain sees all this going on my heart can't go down that road. Or it could be he's the sixth highest paid top safety in the National Football League, sixth, where he was just 2 years ago one of the top. Maybe he wants to go get that bag as well and go compete for a team that will try to at least make the Super Bowl or the playoffs.
Yeah, and you kept repeating two words that encapsulate Budda Baker, character and integrity, right? And when you hear, Monty Ossenford at his introductory press conference, and you hear Jonathan Gannon at his introductory press conference, the theme that keeps coming up is football character, is culture, and if you're the Arizona Cardinals and you're in this situation, you cannot let Budda Baker walk out the door. And part of it is what he does for you on the football field on Sundays, but a big piece of that is what he does for the football team on Monday through Saturday. The example he sets for new players coming in, for rookies coming in. He is, and he was mentioned by name by, both Monty Ossenford and Jonathan Gannon about the type of player that they want in the locker room. And, to me, look, there's two precedents that can be set here. One, it's difficult, and I understand front offices don't want to have their arms twisted and be forced to give new contracts to players that still have 2 years left on their contract. It sets a precedent that it's going to tell other players down the line, even though you have 2 years, even though you signed this contract, if you ask for a trade or make threats, we will give you a new contract. But saying that, I think the precedent that needs to be set is this is the guy that we are going to build the organization around. This is the type of character, this is the type of culture we want, and we want to reward the guys that do the right things. And so I understand, it's difficult when a player has 2 years left on their contract, but Budda Baker walked out that door. I think it sends a bad message to players in that locker room when he is the guy. He is your culture. He is the type of player you want in that locker room. So, and sometimes, we hadn't covered this. Sometimes it's not about the money. Sometimes it's not about, where the team is at in the rebuild. Sometimes a player just wants to feel valued. And
3 minutes.
Conversation. You sit him down. You say, you are a key part of our rebuild. We need you. Here is our plan. And you lay it out for him and say, this is how we're going to get it done. This is how we're going to be competitive next year. This is how we envision our offense. This is how we envision our defense. These are the type of players we want. Here's what we're targeting in this draft. And you take your key veterans, the guys that are invested in the team and the guys that are leaders and players, and you at least include them in your vision and make sure that they understand that they are a huge part of what you want to do in the not only upcoming season, but for years to come.